Bienvenidos. Welcome to Spanish with Liliana. Today we're going to talk about the articles. In Spanish, they are used based on the nouns. Let's look at the definite articles first. For singular masculine nouns, we use el. For plural masculine nouns, we use los. And for singular feminine nouns, we use la. In plural feminine nouns, we're going to use las. All of these four words mean the in English. And we use the definite articles much like in English, when we know the person or thing we are referring to. Spanish nouns are always feminine or masculine. There are no neutral ones, but there is a word, lo, which is L-O, that we'll review later on as it's considered a neutral article. It's not used with nouns though, so stay tuned. For the indefinite articles, we have two, un, una, and they mean a or an. Un is used for singular masculine nouns, and una is used for singular feminine nouns. We use them when we're generalizing about someone or something, or we don't really know the person or thing we're talking about. There are two plural words, unos and unas, that mean some or any, and they can be used instead of un or una based on gender. We'll take a look at this later on. Let's take a look at some examples of the masculine definite articles. Masculine means masculino. For singular, we have el. For plural, we have los. El hombre, the man. Los hombres, the men. El niño, los niños, the boy and the boys. El perro, los perros, the dog and the dogs. You can see in English we change the plural of the noun, but that stays the same. That's not the case in Spanish. We change both. We change the article and we change the noun as well to plural. Try not to confuse the article el with the pronoun él, which means he. You can tell them apart by the accent on the letter E of the pronoun. The pronoun has the accent, the article doesn't, but they sound exactly the same. Now let's look at examples of the feminine definite article. Femenino means feminine. We have la in singular and las in plural. La mujer, las mujeres, the woman and the women. La niña, las niñas, the girl and the girls. La vaca, las vacas, the cow and the cows. And we see the same thing here with the feminine nouns as we saw with the masculine nouns. We're going to change the article from la to las, and we're also going to change the noun from singular to plural. There are a few exceptions with some feminine nouns in singular form. If the noun starts with the letter A or HA, and the stress is on the first syllable, we have to use el or un for the singular form. In plural form, we'll use las. Let's take a look at some examples to show what I mean. El águila, the eagle. Águila is considered feminine, especially because it ends in the letter A. But because the stress of the word is on the first letter A, águila, we're going to use el. Similarly with un, the feminine article would be una, but because it ends in a, we're going to use un in this case. Another example is el ave. El ave, it means the bird. Or we'll use un ave, a bird. El hacha. El hacha has the HA example. It means the axe. Un hacha, an axe. So we're going to use this exception because the noun starts with an A or an HA and the stress is on the first syllable. It doesn't happen always, but when it does, we just have to be mindful that the article is different. Of course, if you say la águila, people will understand you. As I mentioned before, in plural, we will have to use las águilas, las aves, las hachas. If you want to learn more about the stress and accent signs in Spanish words, check out my Spanish accent marks video. Let's talk about the indefinite articles. For singular masculine nouns, we will use un, and we can make them plural by using unos. For example, un limón, a lime. The plural would be unos limones, some limes. Un gato, a cat. Unos gatos, some or any cats. Un amigo, a friend. Unos amigos, some friends. For the feminine nouns, we're going to use una for singular and unas for plural. Again, with unas meaning some or any. For example, una vaca, a cow. Unas vacas, some, any cows. Una mesa, a table. Unas mesas, some or any tables. Una amiga, a friend. Unas amigas, some friends. At the beginning of the class, I mentioned lo. Lo is a neutral article, but it is not used with nouns. It's used with more abstract ideas, sometimes with adjectives and ordinal numbers that don't have a noun. And I have some examples for you. Lo bueno es que estamos aprendiendo. Lo bueno es que estamos aprendiendo. The good thing is that we're learning. Lo mío es tuyo. Lo mío es tuyo. What's mine is yours. Lo primero es aprender español. Lo primero es aprender español. The first thing is to learn Spanish. So you can see we're not using nouns here. And this is how you will use the word lo. To be able to use the articles correctly, you will need to know how to identify the noun gender. I'll make a dedicated class about nouns, but as a general rule, all nouns that end in A, ION, and D are feminine. There are exceptions, but this is a good start. All other endings make the noun masculine. We have, for example, la casa. La casa. It means the house. La nación. La nación. The nation. La verdad. La verdad. The truth. All other endings make the noun masculine, such as O, AJE, and E. For example, el oso, the bear. El viaje, the trip. El café, the coffee. Again, there are exceptions to the rule, but this is a good start for you to start identifying them. If the noun is feminine in singular, it will also be feminine in plural. The same thing applies to masculine. There are instances when we don't use the articles. For example, when we have the verb be plus a profession, we don't use any of the articles we've mentioned. An example is eres maestra. Eres maestra. It means you are a teacher. Similar thing with the verb be plus a nationality or religion. For example, soy mexicana. Soy mexicana. It means I'm Mexican. We don't use an article with proper names. For example, Elena es doctora. Elena es doctora. Elena is a doctor. So here we have Elena as the proper name, and we also have a profession. We're not using any of the articles in this structure. We also don't use them with months. Enero tiene 31 días. Enero tiene 31 días. It means January has 31 days. And we don't mix them when using prepositions. Tengo vacaciones de verano. Tengo vacaciones de verano. I have a summer break. So I know I say not to use the articles with the prepositions, but there are exceptions, just like in English. When you have the preposition de plus the article el, it's going to become shortened. It's kind of like a contraction, and it becomes del. Del. For example, la comida de el gato. We wouldn't usually say this because we have two letter E's right next to each other. So it's not correct. The correct way to say it is la comida del gato, which means the cat's food. Similarly, when you have the preposition a plus el, we're not going to say a él, we're going to say al. For example, vamos a el hospital. This doesn't sound correct, so we're going to combine a él to form al. Vamos al hospital, and it means we're going to the hospital. The preposition de could mean of, from, or by, and the preposition a means to. So in this case, it happens because of the vowels. We'll take a look at the prepositions in a different video, but since we're talking about articles and this comes up frequently in Spanish, I wanted to mention this rule. This is all I have for you today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.